Hi, everyone. We are Elysium Impact Fund, sustainable and inclusive housing at affordable prices. Our team shows a diverse background. Fan and I are studying a master on development, climate and sustainability at Johns Hopkins University. Huawei is an asset manager and CFA holder in China. The word Elysium comes from the Greek mythology and means any place or state of perfect happiness, divinely inspired, peaceful, and perfect. In fact, in Homer's Odyssey, Elysium is a paradise. That is what Elysium pursues, to create sustainable and inclusive cities that respect life and natural resources, and people have access to the same rights and services regardless socioeconomic level or ethnicity. Elysium believes that transforming cities in paradise is possible if we make the right investments. Elysium focuses on three urban problems. The first one is the number of rent-burdened population is growing. People spending nearly 50% of their income on housing is increasing. This undermines families' economic stability and frequently leads to eviction and homelessness. Consequently, this is an increasing demand. There is an increasing demand of affordable housing. Experts estimate that the US must build 4 million apartments by 2035 to meet the demand. After the pandemic, the eviction crisis worsened and almost 4 million households were behind on rent, while almost 4 million eviction cases are filed annually. The second problem is building construction and residential energy use are the main source of GHG emissions. According to the UN Environment Programme, 37% of CO2 emissions came from the construction sector. Also, the building and construction sector accounts for more than 34% of energy demand. For this reason, the substitution of outdated appliances is crucial because they increase energy household consumption by 25%. The third problem is urban inequalities between high and low income inhabitants are rising. Poor neighborhoods lack basic services and recreational areas, and studies suggest that there is a relationship between race, ethnicity, and inequalities. Moreover, studies suggest that being born and raised in poor neighborhoods has long-term effects and impacts people's future. Considering these problems, Elysium's portfolio focuses on addressing the following goals: affordable housing, resource efficiency, and inclusive growth. These objectives are aligned with SDG 11. And now, how Elysium achieves these goals? Elysium seeks to expand the availability of affordable housing while maintaining the sustainability of investments. How we make it possible? We invest in companies that build homes using materials manufactured at scale to reduce time and construction costs. We also use mass timber, which according to Yale School of the Environment can be considerably cheaper than concrete and steel when production is scaled up and depending on where it is sourced. We develop mixed income and mixed use real estate projects with below and also at market rate units to ensure profitability and diversify our residents. For the second goal, Elysium aims to mitigate new construction and residential daily emissions. How? Using mass timber, our companies help sequestrate CO2 from the atmosphere instead of adding, because we substitute steel and concrete materials. Additionally, our companies use green construction technologies and resource efficiency measures, including efficient lighting, green roofs, and high-efficiency household appliances. Our companies also incorporate passive house strategies or standards to save energy by using upgraded windows, proper insulation materials to keep temperatures. That helps us reduce expensive heating and cooling systems. Our third goal is to break the cycle of poverty in distressed neighborhoods through an integrated approach considering housing, education, transportation, and health. How we do that? Our portfolio includes companies that recover distressed urban areas that help us increase the availability of residential units, but we create also spaces for commercial areas near housing units to reactivate the local economy and break economic segregation. Now, developing social infrastructure is not enough to create inclusive growth. Elysium includes a company focused on education and health to strengthen the social fabric and spur long-term development by investing in skill building capacities and increasing access to affordable healthcare. Our developments also connect poor neighborhoods to the public transport system by providing cycle roads and walking areas. Overall, Elysium creates urban spaces with a complete ecosystem of housing, services, and resource efficiency methods to tackle the problem of people stuck in persistently poor neighborhoods.
Based on our investment thesis, we allocated $100 million among 6 selected companies and structured a well-diversified portfolio with a risk-adjusted market rate return of 6%. To estimate the return with reason, we collected the disclosed information of investees and modeled the risks and the returns with the data of the listed companies of the same type. The portfolio is benchmarked against the GIN's reports, some indexes, and similar funds. Our model shows the current allocation has low volatility and the highest return given certain risks. We aim to diversify the portfolio by allocating among different asset classes as required by the challenge, including private equity, some fixed income, and also real estate, to ensure growth and contribution, and also to weather inflation. These companies are weakly correlated. The fund is also diversified given our companies cover different urban areas of the states and position along different parts of value chains. Financial risk management is important to ensure the return. We manage liquidity and exit risk by seeking investments with varying liquidity profiles and high potential to reach an IPO. They're innovative market leaders in attractive industries with exceptional management team. And we implement phased KPIs in financing and actively engage the operation of the companies with value-added support. From sourcing to impact at exit, our impact management and measurement process creates a feedback loop. We adopt IFC's operating principles for impact management for each link in the process, and these principles are below each link in this diagram. As for the most concerning impact management, we monitor impact against the targets and respond appropriately. We not only use IMP's 5 dimensions of impact to assess the fundamentals of impact, but also set metrics to measure impacts. The metrics we agree on with every investee fall into the 3 impact goals we want to achieve. The metrics with the serial numbers in the parentheses are IRIS Plus metrics or SDG indicators. To capture data and other impact evidence, we actually sign set letters with every investee to provide us with documentation and the key impact data. And most of our ongoing performing data are collected from the company's ESG database and impact reports, as we look for companies that speak for their impact through sound evidence. We also include the evaluation-based evidence through analysis, surveys, management meetings, and external sources. We identify risk factors and assess the phased KPIs to make necessary adjustments due to significant and unexpected circumstances. We take actions such as active engagement and early divestment when the investment is no longer accepted to achieve its intended impacts. Our portfolio incorporated 6 companies, primarily of real estate and construction. One of our investee is L+M Development Partners, a real estate developer that focuses on affordable housing and community strengthening, primarily in Greater New York. It is highly matched with the 3 impact goals we aim to achieve. Examples of our metrics are the number of new affordable units for residents at or below 60% area median income, the annual utility savings of households, and also the number of recreational spaces or workshops. SmartLam is another investee. It is the first and the largest cross-laminated timber manufacturer in the US. We invested in this company because mass timber stores carbon and reduces global warming considerably compared with the carbon-intensive concrete and steel and other construction materials. We measure its resource efficiency through amount of GHG emissions reduced and the number of new certified green homes built. It also contributes to affordable housing because mass timber projects reduce 50% of construction time and 20% of cost. To conclude, Elysium can reactivate underserved communities and make sustainable and inclusive housing affordable for Americans, and really bring Elysium, the paradise of happiness, into reality while generating an attractive return for our investors. And we're sure we can do this through right investments. Thank you. And now we're open for questions.
Thank you, Elysium. And now we'll move on to 5 minutes of Q&A from the judging panel.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question around on your financial risk management. You had cited that your investments with varying liquidity profiles and high potential to reach an IPO. I would like to know your thoughts on, within the industries that you are focused on, what types of companies do you think have a high potential to reach an IPO?
Yeah. So our companies that we invest in their private equities actually reached the stage of later VCs, and they have several similar rounds of funding previously. So we think they have a high potential to reach an IPO given their current stage and their previous funding rounds. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. First of all, I like the integrated approach, bringing in transportation and access. But I do have a question about sort of unintended consequences. If it does go to an IPO, how do you ensure that affordable housing remains affordable?
Yeah, actually, we did research on the mass timber strategy because a lot of the construction sector is already using this mass timber as a strategy to reduce not only emissions, GHG emissions, but also costs. And according to the evidence we found, the secret of mass timber is if you can scale up the process. If you can scale up the process, you can reduce cost. And also we are using other construction materials produced at the scale. It's like when I heard about the strategy, I immediately think on something like IKEA. IKEA is selling cheap furniture because they have everything at scale, and that strategy exists in the construction sector. So that is our strategy for to achieve affordability.
I guess I meant more about who are the investors who may acquire these properties, and will they convert those to market rate, or are there things that you can do to avoid that happening?
Yeah, so our model shows that we can actually achieve a market rate return because we have several benchmarks. So we actually generate these returns and figures through GIN's reports on financial performance of impact investing, and Cambridge Associates Index, and also some similar funds. If you heard of it, it's actually a dream fund that also focuses on affordable housing and these positive impacts in Canada, and also one similar fund called M Squared. So that's a real estate development company in Greater New York. Yeah. So I think by benchmarking and we can actually generate this market return. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Randy's question was more with L&M development. So say that they, as a private affordable housing development company, go public. Like, how would you ensure that they are true to the mission of producing affordable housing and not switching to purely commercial real estate development that's focused on sort of market rates of rent, rather than, I think we totally accept that this can achieve a market rate of return. Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was sort of what you were asking. I had a similar question.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't articulate it well, but thank you.
Great questions, I have to say. Actually, L+M is not public. It is a real estate development in New York, and we think the reason why we can ensure that it achieves affordable housing is because this company actually has a long history of developing affordable housing real estate projects in Greater New York area, and also we will examine their affordable housing policies, and also we have restricted their policy terms to ensure that this impacts can last after we exit. Yeah, and also we have at least I think after browsing all the development projects that L+M have developed so far, like all their projects and the properties have at least 50% of affordable units for its tenants. Yeah, and it actually covers a whole range of income levels regarding the area median income. Yeah, so this is why we think this is a really good investment that can help achieve affordable housing. Yeah.
Thank you, Elysium. We are at time for Q&A.